Found out my parents left everything to my brother in their will. So I stopped helping with their bills and extra expenses. A month later, Mom texted me, "The mortgage is due." No greeting, no small talk. I simply replied. Before we begin the story, take a moment to support us by liking, sharing, and subscribing. Your support means the world to our channel and helps us spread more shocking true stories to light. Now let's get started. My name is Liam, and if I ever had any doubts about where I stood in my family, they vanished the day I discovered the will. And no, it wasn't some dramatic heart-to-heart moment where my parents sat me down and explained things. I didn't hear it from them at all. I found out by accident, by sheer dumb luck. It happened a few months ago. I was at their house, the same house I'd spent the last 5 years helping them keep. The mortgage? I chipped in. Groceries? I covered them when needed. Broken appliances, leaky pipes, anything that needed fixing? I handled it. I was the glue holding everything together. Meanwhile, my younger brother, Noah, he did absolutely nothing. And I mean nothing. No job, no responsibilities, no contributions. Just lounging around, waiting for life to hand him everything on a silver platter. And apparently, my parents were more than happy to provide. That day, I was helping my dad with some paperwork. He always struggled with technical stuff, so I stepped in like I always did. He asked me to scan a few documents, legal and financial papers, nothing unusual. At least, that's what I thought. But then, right in the middle of the stack, I saw it. A folder labeled Estate Plan, Last Will, and Testament. I froze. I don't usually snoop, but come on. After everything I had done for them, was it really wrong to wonder how things were set up for the future? So I opened it, and that's when I saw the words that made my stomach drop. Everything, asterisk, asterisk, and I mean everything, was going to Noah, the house, the savings, their assets. Me? Not even a mention. Well, that's not entirely true. There was a generic line about how they loved both of their sons equally. Yeah, sure. That's why their golden child was inheriting everything while the son, who actually kept them afloat, wasn't even worth a footnote. I felt like a complete fool. I had spent years bending over backward for them, making sure they never had to worry about bills, food, or basic necessities. And in return, they planned for a future where I didn't exist. Meanwhile, Noah, who had never lifted a single finger to help them, was handed everything on a silver platter. No effort. No responsibility, just reward after reward for doing absolutely nothing. Maybe it was because he was the youngest. Maybe because they had babied him his entire life. Or maybe because he knew exactly how to manipulate them. Whatever the reason, the message was clear. They had made their choice. I sat there, staring at the paper, my hands shaking from a mix of rage and betrayal. Had they always planned this? Did they ever really appreciate what I did for them? Or was I just convenient? I had no idea how long I sat there, spiraling in my thoughts. But eventually, my dad noticed I wasn't scanning anything. He walked back into the room. "Liam, what's taking so long?" he asked casually, completely unaware that my entire world had just been shattered. I didn't even try to hide it. I held up the will and locked eyes with him. "So this is how it is?" I asked, my voice disturbingly calm. "Everything to Noah. After everything I've done for you." For a moment, my dad's face went pale. But then, he sighed, like I was a child throwing a tantrum. "Liam, it's not what you think." I cut him off. "Really?" "Because it looks pretty damn clear to me." I clenched the will in my hand. "I've been paying your mortgage, covering groceries, fixing this house, keeping things running. Meanwhile, Noah does nothing, and you still decided he's the only one who matters." Dad shifted uncomfortably, and then, instead of giving me an actual answer, he muttered 2 words that made my blood boil. "It's complicated." That was it. No apology. No explanation. Just a weak, dismissive excuse. Like I was supposed to accept it and go back to being their personal ATM. I should have walked out right then. But I needed to hear it from both of them. So I called out for my mom. She came in, took one look at the will in my hands, and instantly looked guilty. For a second, I thought maybe, just maybe, she'd tell me the truth. But then she spoke, and her words made my blood boil. "Liam, sweetheart, you don't need the inheritance," she said gently, like she was doing me a favor. You have a good job. You're independent. Noah, well, he struggles. We just want to make sure he's taken care of. And that was the moment something inside me snapped. They knew. They knew exactly what they were doing. And in their minds, it was completely justified. Years of enabling Noah's laziness. Years of ignoring my sacrifices. And now, they were planning to reward him and erase me. I took a deep breath, clenched my jaw, and set the will down on the table. Got it, I said, my voice eerily calm. Glad to know where we stand. Then, without another word, I turned around and walked out of the house, ignoring their protests, ignoring their excuses, ignoring everything, just like they had ignored me. They had made their decision. Now it was time for me to make mine. The silence that spoke volumes. I didn't go back to their house after that. I didn't call. I didn't check in. For the first time in years, I let them handle their own damn problems. If something broke, they could fix it. If they needed groceries, they could drive to the store themselves. And most importantly, if that mortgage bill showed up, not my problem. At first, I think they assumed I was just sulking, that I'd cool off and come crawling back like always. Maybe they even thought I'd apologize for daring to question their decision. But as the days passed, something shifted. I could feel it. No calls, no texts, just a heavy, awkward silence hanging in the air, like they were waiting for me to break first. And then, 2 weeks later, my phone buzzed. It was a text from my dad. Dad, the property taxes are due. That was it. No, hey, how have you been? No, sorry for what happened. No, we appreciate everything you've done. Just a cold, transactional message. Like I was still the walking ATM they could tap into whenever they pleased. I stared at my phone, almost amused at how predictable they were. They really thought I'd just give in, that I'd keep playing my role, no matter how blatantly they had discarded me. So I typed back a simple response. Me, I'm sure Noah will handle it, since the house is his and all. I sent it, and 5 minutes later, my mom called. I let it ring. Then another text came through. Mom, Liam, please don't be like this. We need to talk. Oh, now they wanted to talk. Now that the bills were piling up. Now that reality was slapping them in the face. I let an hour pass before replying. Me, there's nothing to talk about. You made your choice. Now you can live with it. I figured that would be the end of it. I had made my stance crystal clear, and not a single part of me felt guilty about it. But then, Noah decided to chime in. The entitled brat speaks. It was late that evening when another text popped up. I saw Noah's name on my screen and immediately knew it was going to be some obnoxious, entitled nonsense. And sure enough, when I opened it, Noah, dude, why are you being so dramatic? It's not a big deal. Just help them out like you always do. I actually laughed. Not a big deal. Not a big deal. I typed back. Me. No. I think you've got it covered. Since you're the favorite and all. His response came almost instantly. Noah. Oh my God. Are you seriously mad about the will? Grow up, man. It's just money. Oh, now it's just money. Now that it was his to inherit, suddenly it didn't matter. The hypocrisy was astounding. So I shot back. Me. Then you won't mind using some of that money to pay the mortgage, right? Silence. For minutes. And then another text, but this time from my mom. Mom, Liam, we are your parents. Family takes care of each other. We did so much for you growing up, and now you're just abandoning us. I clenched my jaw so hard it ached. Abandoning them? I had spent years making sure they never had to struggle, all while they coddled Noah and rewarded his laziness. And now that they were facing the consequences of their own choices, I was suddenly the bad guy? No, not this time. I replied, Me, you made it clear I wasn't part of the family when you left me out of the will. Now, Noah can take care of you. I could imagine my mom gasping dramatically at that. She always did love acting like the victim, even when she was the one in the wrong. A few minutes later, my dad sent another text, and this one had me seething. Dad, we're not asking for much, just enough to cover the mortgage for a few more months, until we figure things out. Don't be selfish. Selfish. That word hit me like a slap to the face. I had been bailing them out for years, sacrificing my own money, my own time, my own energy to make their lives easier. And now that I was finally standing up for myself, I was the selfish one. I took a deep breath, clenched my jaw, and typed back, "Me, no. I'm done." Then I turned off my phone. They had made their choice. Now, they were going to live with it. The desperation kicks in. The silence lasted a day. I knew my parents wouldn't give up that easily, but I wasn't expecting what happened next. The following morning, I woke up to a bank transfer request notification on my phone. I frowned and unlocked my screen. It was from my mom. She had actually sent me a request for money. And not just any amount. $3,500. I stared at the number in disbelief. No message. No explanation. Just a cold, shameless demand for the exact amount they needed to cover their overdue mortgage. They weren't even asking anymore. They were just assuming I'd cave. I declined it without hesitation. Not even 5 minutes later, my phone rang. It was Mom. I let it ring. Then another text popped up. "Mom, Liam, I know you saw the request. Why did you decline it?" I took my time before replying. "Me, because it's not my responsibility. Try Noah." Another call. Declined. Then another text. "Mom, we're going to lose the house if you don't help us." Oh, now it was emergency. Now, after all those years of treating me like a walking ATM, they were finally facing the consequences of their own decisions. I typed back, "Me, maybe you should have thought about that before deciding I didn't matter." A few seconds later, Dad chimed in. "Dad, you're really going to let your parents become homeless?" That one actually made me laugh out loud. The manipulation was so blatant, it was almost funny. They weren't broke. They weren't about to be thrown onto the streets. They just didn't want to dip into their own savings, because they were so used to me covering everything. I ignored them for the rest of the day. But that night, another text popped up, this time from Noah. "Noah, dude, just send them the money already. You're making this a bigger deal than it is." I clenched my jaw. This entitled little leech really thought he could lecture me? I typed back, "Me, you mean the same money you're inheriting? Why don't you send it?" His response came fast. "Noah, I don't have that kind of cash right now." Oh, so now it was about affordability. He was perfectly fine with me draining my accounts. But the second it was his turn, suddenly he had nothing to offer. I replied, "Me, guess you better figure out then, bro. You're the one they chose." No response. I went to bed feeling oddly at peace, like I had finally broken free from years of manipulation. But the next day, things escalated. The uninvited guests. I was at work when my phone rang. It was the front desk of my apartment building. Receptionist. "Hey, Liam, your parents are here." I nearly dropped my phone. "Me, what?" She hesitated. "Receptionist. They said it's an emergency, and that you won't answer their calls." Oh, my God. They actually showed up at my apartment, because I stopped paying their bills. I took a deep breath, pinching the bridge of my nose. "Me, please don't let them up. I'm not expecting them." There was an awkward pause. "Receptionist, they're being kind of pushy." I clenched my jaw. "Me, I don't care. They can leave." I hung up, and immediately, a text from Mom. "Mom, we're downstairs. Open the door." "No, can we talk?" "No, are you okay?" Just another demand. I didn't reply. Then another text. "Mom, Liam, we're not leaving until you talk to us." I exhaled sharply. They weren't going to back down. Fine. I was about to teach them a lesson they wouldn't forget. I grabbed my keys, stormed downstairs, and yanked the front door open. And there they were. Mom, Dad, and of course Noah, standing in a tight little formation like they were staging a family intervention. Mom had her arms crossed. Her classic disappointed mother looked locked and loaded. Dad stood stiff, hands in his pockets, like he couldn't believe I was making him do this in person. And Noah, the little leech, actually looked bored. Like this was just a mild inconvenience for him. Like he wasn't the reason this was even happening. The moment Mom saw me, she went full theatrics. "Mom, Liam, finally, we need to talk." I leaned against the door frame, arms crossed. "Me, no. You need to leave." She blinked, as if she physically couldn't comprehend what I just said. "Mom, excuse me." I held firm. "Me, you heard me. You don't get to just show up at my apartment demanding money. That's insane." Dad let out a sharp scoff. "Dad, are you really going to let us lose the house over a petty grudge?" I let out a cold laugh. "Me? Oh, You mean the grudge where you decided I was good enough to pay your bills, but not good enough to be in your will? That grudge. Mom gasped, clutching her chest, like I had just slapped her. Mom, Liam, that's not fair. We only did what we thought was best for the family. I tilted my head. Me? Best for the family? You mean best for Noah? Just say it. Silence. A long, heavy silence. Noah, who had been weirdly quiet up until now, finally spoke. Noah, look, man, I don't even want to be involved in this. I didn't ask for anything. I turned to him and finally let loose. Me? No, you just sit back and take everything that's handed to you. You're 28 years old, Noah. Get a damn job. His face turned red. Noah, dude, what the hell? I stepped closer. Me? You heard me. You want to inherit the house. Start acting like a homeowner. You want to be the golden child? Start paying their damn bills. I'm done being your personal bank. Noah looked away, suddenly very interested in the pavement. Mom took a deep breath, recalibrating her guilt trip. Mom, Liam, he's your brother. I nodded. Me? Yep. And I've supported him longer than you ever have. Dad's face darkened. Dad, you're being selfish. I actually laughed. A real, genuine laugh. Me? That's rich coming from you. I gestured between them. Me? You made your choice. And now, you're going to live with it. And with that, I turned around and slammed the door behind me. The final straw. I barely made it back to my couch before my phone buzzed again. A new text. From Dad. Dad, wow. After everything we've done for you, you're really going to abandon us? I smirked, took my time, then typed back. Me, no. You abandoned me. I'm just finally accepting it. And with that, I blocked their numbers. For the first time in my life, I was done. But I had no idea that blocking them was only going to make things worse. The public smear campaign. It started the very next day. At first, I thought it was just my parents being dramatic. I mean, that was their go-to move. Airing out family drama for all to see. But the more I scrolled through Facebook, the more I realized this wasn't just about money anymore. They weren't just complaining. They were twisting the entire story. The posts were vague, disguised as family love. But the message? Crystal clear. My mom had posted, I didn't raise my son to be so selfish. True family helps each other, no matter what. A few of her friends chimed in, commenting things like, that's so heartbreaking. Kids these days don't appreciate their parents. I'm so sorry. Stay strong, sweetie. Maybe he'll come around. Then my dad joined in. So-called family should never turn their backs when they're needed most. We gave everything to our children, and this is how we're repaid. And at the very end of his post, he tagged me with a passive-aggressive, I hope you're happy. But the real kicker? Noah. Oh, I should have known. He posted something that made my blood boil. Some people think family is just about money. They don't understand that true love is about sacrifice. I do anything for my parents, but some people just don't get that. And then, the final knife to the gut. I wish some people could learn what it really means to be family. I love my parents, and I'm grateful for everything they've done. That was it. That was my breaking point. I sat there, staring at my phone. Disbelief, anger, exhaustion. They had turned this entire situation around. Made me the villain. The selfish son who refused to help his sacrificial parents. The disappointment. The ungrateful child. I had spent years holding them together, never once asking for anything in return. And now, because I finally set a boundary, I was the problem. I took a deep breath. I wasn't going to react out of anger. I wasn't going to play their game. But I also wasn't going to let them get away with it. So I pulled out my phone, and I started typing my side of the story. I opened Facebook, went to my own profile, the one I barely used, and I posted a lengthy update. I wasn't going to get into a petty back and forth. I wasn't going to name names, but I was going to tell the truth. This is what I wrote. I know my family has been posting things about me, a lot of things that aren't true, so I'm setting the record straight. I have always helped my family. From the moment I could work, I was the one helping with bills, buying groceries, making sure everything was taken care of. For years, I did this without question, without complaint, because that's what family does. But what people don't see is the other side of it. The years of favoritism. The fact that no matter how much I gave, it was never enough. That I was always expected to be the responsible one, the provider, while someone else was handed everything without lifting a finger. When I found out that my parents had left me out of their will entirely, that everything was going to my brother, I finally realized how one-sided this relationship had always been. I was never treated as an equal. I was treated as a safety net, a backup plan, a walking wallet. And when I finally said enough, when I finally stood up for myself, they turned me into the villain. So here's the truth. I am not abandoning my family. I'm choosing to stop being used by them. There's a difference. Family is supposed to be about mutual respect. It's supposed to be a two-way street. I have given more than enough, and I refuse to feel guilty for setting a boundary. And for those wondering why I won't just send them the money, there's someone else who could help them. Someone they chose to inherit everything. Someone they continue to protect. But for some reason, they refuse to ask him to step up. Ask yourself why that is. To my parents, I wish you the best, but I am done being your safety net. You made your choice. Now you can live with it. I hit post, and for the first time in my life, I felt free. The fallout, the reaction, instant. Some people supported me. Friends, a few cousins, even some distant relatives messaged me privately. Liam, I had no idea. I'm so sorry. Good for you for standing up for yourself. You did the right thing. They've taken advantage of you for too long. But then came the backlash. My parents went ballistic. Noah messaged me first. Noah, you're a traitor. You really had to air all our business like that? You have no respect for family. I ignored him. Then Dad called. I let it ring. A text followed. Dad, you've ruined everything, Liam. You'll regret this. You'll regret cutting us off. I didn't regret it. Not for a second. I blocked them all. And for the first time in years, I was free. No guilt. No obligations. No more being the family ATM. As the days passed, I felt lighter. Like a weight had been lifted. I wasn't a bad son. I wasn't selfish. I was just finally choosing myself. And that was long overdue. Final thoughts. I still don't feel bad for cutting them off. I deserve better. I still do. And from now on, I'm choosing to surround myself with people who appreciate me for who I am, not for what I can give them. It's time for me to move forward. For good. And I will. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to hit that like button, share this video with your friends, and subscribe for more real-life family dramas. Let me know in the comments what you think about today's story. Was it fair or totally messed up? See you in the next one.